Welcome back to Octagon Opinions. Today's video we're going to be recapping and talking about the UFC Fight Night Perth, JDM v Prates. We'll start with the main event and then we'll move down the card and then go on to the prelims. So yeah, let's kick it off with JDM Prates. Wow, wow, this was, obviously, watching this fight, Christ, what a performance from Prates is all you can really say. Obviously it's pretty devastating that JDM lost in that way, in front of his home crowd as well. That was devastating to see. And it's also just really, really, really sad that he's now on an 0-2 losing streak. It's not what you want to see. It's not what you want to see with JDM. But on the other side, you've got Carlos Prates putting in, I think, the performance of his life. That was a complete, just systematic breakdown of JDM. Carlos Prates obviously, starting off with just smashing JDM's lead leg so that JDM couldn't then fight out of southpaw. And then obviously, with Jack then switching stances, he's obviously then at a disadvantage already. And Prates then just absolutely lit him up with shots, with elbows, with knees. Those knees, just up the middle of JDM, and just, the way that they just broke through his guard and just smashed through his guard and hit him in the face. And the elbows and just, oh man, it was the body kicks as well. You could, you go on for days talking about, just the kind of the variety of strikes that Prates was showing in this fight, which, I'll be honest, when I was watching this fight and just before I watched the fight, I thought Prates would win by way of, TKO ground and pound, or with his left hand, that he's got sort of cocked back, ready to throw at any moment. But then I also kind of thought about his fight with Ian Gary, and just the way that kind of panned out, and how like Ian Gary's pressure kind of limited Prates' ability to kind of throw and to kind of really get into his rhythm. But what a fight! What a fight! The finish in the third round. It was brutal. It was brutal. We saw JDM getting brutalized in that fight. Obviously, we saw JDM get smudged by Makhachev already. So to now see him get, done like that, devastating stuff. But I'm sure JDM will be back. In terms of what you do now with both of them, obviously I think Prates has now earned his title shot. Now, whether that comes against Ian Gary or Makhachev, that will be figured out. I think, what is it, July or August? They're aiming to have that fight, something like that, International Fight Week maybe. So we'll see Ian Gary and Makhachev figure out the new welterweight champion, and then I think we will see Prates fighting the winner of that. In terms of JDM, the guy's 0-2. The guy's 0-2 now. The welterweight curse is real. I don't know what you even do with him. Because obviously, in order to get his title fight, he obviously had to fight through the division. Obviously getting his title fight off the back of him beating Burns. So what do you do with him now? Personally, I think maybe we could give him Usman. Obviously Usman's been calling for a title shot, or at least a fight, against somebody at the top of that division. And so I think, all right, fine, give him JDM. Usman, he is coming off a win technically, after he beat Buckley. But I don't really think that matters, to be honest. I think give Usman JDM. Maybe JDM gets a win off of that. Maybe, with the state that Usman's knees are in. The guy's knees are fucking jelly at this point. Absolute geriatric knees, geriatric jelly knees. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. JDM, man, that's a hard one for the matchmakers to come up with, because also you've got other welterweight fighters kind of getting booked in, and Obviously, you've got all the stuff with the title. You know, no one knows if it's Morales or if it's Gary who's fighting for the title. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you do with JDM at this point. But big win for Carlos Prates. You know, it was just, yeah. I mean, he bullied him. He bullied him for 3 rounds. Smashed up his legs, smashed his body, smashed his face. Yeah, man, brutal, brutal. We move on to the co-main event. Dariush uh, getting absolutely done in by Quillan Salkeld. Again, we're seeing the skill level of Salkeld obviously showing through the fact that he is just, you know, he's just running through these guys that the UFC are putting in front of him. Um, you know, I mean, how many first round finishes has he got now? It's getting ridiculous. Um, I think Colin Salkeld is, you know, he is becoming the next big name at lightweight. Um, and in terms of who he fights next, obviously we saw him call out Mateusz Gamrot for a fight. And I think Gamrot actually did I see a thing that Gamrot accepted the call out? I'm sure he probably did. But yeah, so I think that will be a really, really, really good fight to see. Obviously, we've seen Quillan Salkeld fight off the back, and sort of we've seen his ground game. He also got the submission over Jamie Malarkey, I think it was, um, sort of earlier in the year. And so you know he also has a ground game. Um, but how good the ground game is, I think that'll be really interesting to see. You know, I think Gamrot will test him, you know, in ways that he probably hasn't been tested before. Um, and yeah, I think that'll be a really, really good fight to see. Obviously, Gamrot, you know, an absolute, just a cockroach of the division, really. He just, you know, pretty indestructible. Um, but yeah, I think that'll be a really, really, really fun, interesting fight. In terms of Dariush, what do we do? I mean, God damn, Benny, what do we do? What do we do with him? Um, I genuinely thought that he was going to retire. I'll be honest. I genuinely thought he would retire after that. Um, Mainly because it was the first round. You know, I think getting embarrassed like that in the first round, um, even though it was, you know, Quillan Salkeld, who we obviously know um, is that guy. You know, he is him. But I think even for Dariush, man, getting embarrassed like that in the first round is that's brutal. So I fully expected him to retire, but he didn't. He didn't, to be fair. Um, what does he do now? Where does he go from here? I mean, I think we'll be seeing Dariush being used as a, you know, as a gateway for the top 15. You know, he'll be getting just fed to prospects and to other, you know, washed fighters maybe. Um, but yeah, that was a pretty rough night for Benny. Um, Good night for Salkeld though. A win in front of his home crowd in Perth. Um, yeah, I just, you know, he is him. He is him. It'll be really, really fun to watch what he does now in the lightweight division. Does he beat Gamrot? I don't know. I don't know actually. I think it'd be really interesting to see, you know, does he mainly use a kind of does he mainly stay on the feet? Does he try to stay on the feet against Gamrot, or does he just accept the fact that it will be, you know, a mainly grappling and wrestling match, and does he then just try and outdo him there? I don't know. I think that's definitely a fight to watch out for in the future. But yeah, Dariush, man, I don't know. Hang up the gloves, man, hang up the gloves. We move on to big Tim Elliott, obviously coming up against YouTube's own Bedtime MMA. But yeah, I mean, look, this was a really really good fight. In all fairness, you know, flyweight, you maybe expect, you know, you might not see a knockout necessarily, you know, and it is what it is. But what you will see is you'll see, you know, Steve Erceg. I mean, you know, the like his use of like the just like the kind of the fundamentals and just kind of like, you know, just his kind of just more technical style that he was using. Um, and again, he just, you know, it was a really really good win. Also, Tim Elliott was coming out with just some crazy, weird, really unpredictable, just, you know, unorthodox style, just trying to catch Erceg off with just these really sort of like off times and just weird combinations, just kind of these big swinging shots and stuff. So yeah, no, it was a really really good fight to watch. Tim Elliott obviously was making it pretty interesting. Um, he was just coming out with all these random shots and stuff, but in all fairness, Steve Erceg, he stayed disciplined. He didn't get baited in. He didn't get baited into any of these crazy exchanges or anything like that. He utilized takedowns as well. Obviously, Tim Elliott was going for a couple of takedowns, but I thought Steve Erceg, his takedown defense was, he also showed that it was pretty good in this fight. Um, but yeah, no, really, really good fight. Really good win for Steve Erceg as well. Hopefully, we get to see him get a bit of a comeback in the flyweight division after he lost that title fight against Pantoja and stuff. He's kind of fallen down to the 12th ranking and stuff. So I really hope that this win now kind of acts as a base for Erceg to now go and move up the division. Um, but yeah, no, good fight, good win for Erceg. And Tim Elliott, I mean, I don't know. I'd probably say he retires pretty soon. I think he'll probably be retired by the end of the year, maybe. Um, but yeah, good win for Erceg. Good fight overall. We move on to the featherweight bout between Marwan Rahiki, the freaky Rahiki, and big Ollie Schmid. Now, with this one, we were seeing that obviously the first round finish from Marwan Rahiki is, I mean, that's like this guy. He's becoming just like he's just like him on the feet is becoming a real prospect for a good fight just in general. So anytime you now see Rahiki on a main card or something, like it's going to be a good fight. Obviously his fight with Harry Hardwick, you obviously see that the guy's got power in his hands. Like he's got real power in his hands. I mean, to do that to Harry Hardwick, and to stop him the way that he did with the broken jaw is, I mean, that was brutal. That was a brutal fight. But we're talking about this one with Ollie Schmidt here, and just the way that he just sort of walked him down, and just like Marwan Rahiki, he just did not look like phased at all by the threat that Ollie Schmidt. He didn't look phased. He didn't look like he was ever threatened at any point. He he just didn't seem at all like he was in like a high pressure environment or anything like that, which was really impressive to see. I think him at featherweight now. I mean, who do you give him? He's unranked at the minute. In terms of low ranked featherweights, hmm, who do we give him? Maybe you give him like a Josh Emmett, or maybe a Bryce Mitchell or something like that, something around that kind of caliber. Um, I think that what the UFC has to do though is I think they have to keep giving Rahiki, um, they have to keep giving him guys who are going to stay on the feet with him. I think if the UFC start giving Rahiki, wrestlers or grapplers or stuff like that, I think it could really kill off his rise and stuff. And so I don't want to see that. I want to see the UFC trying to keep giving him guys who are going to stand with him, mainly just to keep the fights entertaining, but also because Rahiki has showed that he can stand and bang you know, with guys at featherweight, and I think his skill set as well. I think he just proved in the fight here with Oli Schmidt. He's proven that he is good enough to take on like a lot higher ranked contenders than he's fighting just now. Um, but yeah, great fight. Really, really good win for Marwan Rahiki. Um, and yeah, I hope to see him getting a good ranked fight for his next fight. We move on to good fight. Yes, good fight. Shamil the Meal Deal Gaziev. Right. So Shamil, I mean, obviously, Brando Persic getting it done in the second round. it was an absolutely mental fight. You know, we saw both guys just trading heavy blows. Pause. Um, but no, we saw both these guys just landing heavy on each other. Neither of them seemed to want to go down at any point. Obviously, Shamil, you know, all love to the guy, but my God, this guy was running around with his jaw just wide open. And if Perisic landed a hook or something, and it landed right, he was gonna, you know, completely dislocate and break Gaziev's jaw. Um, but that's why we love these fights. That's why we love them, you know, because at heavyweight, obviously, we'll get on to the next heavyweight fight after this. Um, you know, let's just pretend like it's not there just now. But, you know, at heavyweight, this is what you want to see. You know, you want to see two guys just slugging it out, you know, just try to kill each other. And that's what we saw in this fight. Obviously, fight of the night, you can see there. And, you know, that's for a reason. You could argue that Prates and JDM probably should have got it, but it wasn't really a contest. So, but yeah, really good fight. Really good win for Brando Perisic as well. Um, Obviously, Gaziev, you know, poor guy, man. He'll be getting, you know, slimed out at the Apex, I think, in his next fight. They'll be putting him on the Apex. Either that or they'll be saving him just and only using him when they go to like Saudi and stuff. So it's a bit unfortunate, but yeah, really good win for Brando Perisic. Um, and it's even better that it's at heavyweight. You know, obviously with all the mess that's going on at heavyweight at the minute, you want to see up and coming prospects winning fights and then getting matchups. And I think Perisic will now get a pretty good ranked opponent for his next fight. Um, Obviously, I think he'll be getting into the rankings now that he's beaten Gaziev. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what Brando Perisic does next. Yeah, he just looks really good. Oh, for fuck's sake, right? We move on to um, probably the worst. I mean, this was an abuse on my eyes. You know, this was horrific. You know, this was horrific. You know, if I wanted to see, oh no, yeah, never mind. But no, no, this was a horrid fight. Absolute terrorism of this sport. Both guys, in my opinion, should be cut. I think Louis Sutherland is. I mean, I don't even know, man. Like, fucking hell. You know, I, you see guys like Makhachev, right? You see Makhachev blobbing people, all right? And, you know, you can maybe make an argument that it's, you know, oh, it's technical, or, you know, the positions that he's getting and da 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 da. Right? You can make an argument that it's kind of interesting sometimes when Makhachev does it. Holy fucking shit, man. Like, what we just saw from Louis Sutherland and Taito Ivasa might actually be the most embarrassing. Well, actually, no, it's not the most embarrassing thing, but it is definitely up there. It's up there, you know. I mean, do we say that it was worse than MVP v Patterson, Adesanya Romero? Christ, I mean, my God, it's some competition for worst fight in UFC history, but this was bad. I mean, at heavyweight, like the last thing you want to see at heavyweight is one guy just absolutely smudging fuck out the other guy. Like that is not what you watch heavyweight fights for. Obviously, Taito Vasa. I mean, this guy, you know, oh God. I mean, you know, the guy's on his back as much as a porn star, right? He's awful. He's absolutely awful. And you know, coming into this fight, I genuinely thought Taito Vaz had a chance. I thought maybe he could catch Louis Sutherland on the feet. Maybe he could just catch him with a lucky shot or something. Um, but but no, but no, he's now I think Tuvas is now on a 7 fight losing streak. Um, just absolute record breaker. You know, I think he's really going for that Tony Ferguson record. Um, but yeah, just absolute god awful fight. I would genuinely just cut the both of them. I don't think either of them bring any real value to the UFC, especially not to the heavyweight division. Louis Sutherland, Jesus Christ. I mean, he genuinely just looks like, you know, like they've gone into some bumfuck place in England and just grabbed a guy out of a pub and just gone, here, mate, you're fighting in Perth against some other just big fat cunt they've pulled out of a pub in Australia. Um, I mean, it's really, really poor. Um, but then again, you do kind of have to have these fights to just, to really set to set the bar, I suppose. These guys have set the bar so incredibly low at heavyweight, and then obviously to see it followed up by an actual heavyweight fight, yeah, yeah, it was, my God, what a bad fight. What a bad fight. I genuinely don't have anything to say other than they should both be cut from the UFC. We move on to the prelims now, where we saw Cam Rouston getting the win over Robert Brejec. Now this was a decent fight, I'd say, for Cam Rouston. Obviously, he dominated the fight. Um, he was a little bit in the early bits of the first round. I felt that maybe Brajcik had a bit of pressure and was using a bit of pressure against Rouston. But then obviously Rouston managed to get the takedowns. He managed to get kind of control time and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, he would then get onto the top position, got some good ground and pound off. But yeah, good first round from Cam Rouston. Um, and then again, we just kind of saw that continue throughout the second and third round as well. And yeah, I think in the middleweight division as well, Cam Rouston, he could definitely be I think he could definitely be a pretty decent prospect, maybe. Um, do I see him breaking into the top 10 of middleweight, top five middleweight? I don't know. I don't know. I think top 10 he could probably definitely break into. Um, but the top five, I mean, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I think he could probably do a couple more fights, maybe at this kind of level where he's still developing his skills and stuff, and he's still maybe getting a bit of confidence, a bit of experience in the octagon. Um, but overall, I'd say it was a good win for him. But I don't know. I don't know. Moving forward, who do you give him? Someone shit at middleweight maybe, just to get him into the top 10. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. But yeah, good win from Cam Rouston. Um, Unfortunate for Robert Brejec, but yeah, is what it is. We move on to Junior Tafa knocking out Kevin Christian, and I mean, my God, do you know what I mean? Like this was, man, this was. I mean, what did you expect? You have a guy, a giraffe on skates, a giraffe on ice, right? And Kevin Christian, um, and then you're putting him up against Junior Tafa, who literally has got one thing in his locker, and that's going down and just, you know, getting a knockout. And even that, he's not even that good. Um, but I think in terms of the crowd and where they are, obviously, I think they had to give Junior Tafa an easy opponent. Kevin Christian, the guy, he should be in the NBA. Fuck knows why he's in the UFC. Um, the guy's like legitimately, what was he? What was he? 6'7" or whatever the fuck he is. He's fucking huge. Um, but because he's so big and because he's so kind of lanky and he's got such weird balance and all that kind of stuff, and he's got a really weird build for a guy coming into the UFC. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't really have any interest in Kevin Christian fight again. Junior Tafa though, um, I mean, I don't know, feed him to Dominic Reyes maybe, light heavyweight. Yeah, Dominic Reyes is kind of at the lower end of light heavyweight right now. Um, Maybe he's moved up a bit after his win over Johnny Walker, but yeah, no, I'd say give Junior Tafa maybe a fight against someone like that, someone around the 15th rank at light heavyweight. But yeah, good fight though, good fight. Like genuinely good fight in and amongst some really really bad fights. I mean, these prelims genuinely were some of the worst fights I've ever seen. Um, it just looked like so many of these guys, their striking was just abysmal. And we're going to talk about that in this next fight here with Jacob Malkoon and Big GM3. I mean, genuinely, right? Jacob Malkoon, I mean, do you know how shit you have to be to make GM3 at the ripe old age of what, 38, 39, 40? Like, how shit you have to have a performance to make him look actually semi-decent. Um, I mean, GM3, you could argue he was like he almost won the third round, and it was just bad. It was just bad. Obviously Jacob Malkoun, he's got hands. He's got hands, and I've got no idea why he didn't just fucking use his power advantage and just you know dominate and finish GM3. I mean, God knows, God knows. The guy went in, tried to wrestle in the first round. Obviously, that was a bad idea. Um, we also had GM3 coming in at 190 pounds, which again, not great. The guy should be cut. I don't understand why the UFC are, they're just keeping him on. I don't get it. The guy needs to go. Um, Jacob Malkoun, though, he did get the win. He did get the decision win. So I suppose that's good. He didn't look good at all. But it might just be one of those. It might just be one of those nights. It might have just been an off night for him. So we maybe can see him get a fight soon enough. I mean, he didn't take a lot of damage in that fight against GM3, so I don't know. Maybe he comes back at another point in the year, and maybe he looks good in that as well. So, but yeah, bit of a meh fight to be honest. Nothing crazy. We move on. Colby Thickness versus Vince Morales. Now, I'll be honest, right? With this fight, okay, and Colby Thickness, obviously his ground game is elite. I don't think there's any question about Colby Thickness's ground game. He showed in the first round, in the first like minute, he had Vince Morales tied up in all sorts of positions. Um, but you know, I think on the feet though, my main issue with Colby Thickness is that on the feet he looked really, really unconvincing. Um, he looked like he had a real lack of power in his shots on the feet. And then Vince Morales obviously I think started to really kind of get the better of him on the feet in the last round and also a little bit of round two as well. Um, Now Colby Thickness did get the decision, which I'll be honest, when I was watching that fight, did I think Colby Thickness won it? No, I didn't think he won, but um, I can just about understand people who think he did. But yeah, I think it was a really really poor fight. Um, there were some moments where it was kind of fun. There was a couple of good moments. Obviously, the ground game from Colby was pretty cool to watch. And I think he should just stick to that going forward. I think he should either get better at stand up or he should just become a bit of like an Oliveira where he kind of does more on the ground and goes for more submissions rather than does too much with the stand up because his stand up looked really bad in this fight. Um, but yeah, he got the win, I suppose. So that's something. We move on to Ben Johnson and Wes Schultz. Again, another absolute crackpot of a fight. Um, Schultz got the decision in round. Oh, sorry, not decision. What am I saying? He got the submission in round three. My God, I'm getting fucking so many decisions on this card, man. There's so many decisions, especially on the prelims. I'm going fucking insane. No, Schultz got the submission in round three over Ben Johnson, who, I mean, Ben Johnson, in all fairness, the guy's what, 35 now. He took this at short notice. Um, is what it is. Wes Schultz, I mean, the guy, I don't know, man. What is he? I don't even know, man. What do you say? The fight was okay compared to the other prelims. Ben Johnson obviously getting some good strikes off on Schultz. He was also using the grappling and wrestling a lot as well. Um, which I thought maybe he could get something out of. I think was he a Muay Thai champion as well? So yeah, so I don't know, maybe yeah, so I thought Ben Johnson would kind of do something maybe with the grapple or stuff like that, but he didn't. He didn't. He instead he was getting put into this guillotine position constantly by Schultz, who again doesn't look like anything special, especially at middleweight. They both look terrible. But Schultz was catching Ben Johnson in these kind of guillotine positions, which I mean, Ben Johnson, after like the fifth one, like the fact that this guy didn't fucking learn, and then he got caught up against the cage in it, and he had nowhere to go, and then obviously he gets submitted. I mean, that was embarrassing because he was actually winning the fight, I think. In my opinion, anyway, I think Ben Johnson was, you could argue he was winning the fight. Um, but yeah, Schultz obviously caught Johnson with a big knee as well in round two. So maybe I don't know, maybe you could give round two to Schultz. But yeah, it was a bit of a meh fight until he got the submission. Um, yeah, just pretty poor to be honest. Not great quality. We move on to Jonathan Mikalev and Temba Garimbo. Christ above. This again, a split decision win for Jonathan Mikalev. Um, and I'll be honest, I think Temba Grimbo I think his style was rubbish. I don't think he was, I mean, I don't think he deserved to win this fight. I think Mikalev did just about enough to win it. Um, he was kind of working off his back a wee bit. Micallef was when Garimbo would kind of take him down, um, and obviously Garimbo just basically just going for the grappling, just really grapple heavy, um, and sometimes throwing in a couple of low kicks. But then we would always see Micallef just reverse the position, whether it was up against the cage or whatever. Um, but yeah, it was just a bit boring to be honest. Really boring fight, and in the I think when you actually were watching it, you could actually see and you could hear Micallef at the end of the fight. I think the camera picked up that he was talking to his corner and he was saying, it was a really bad fight and he wasn't happy with it, which I think that's completely fair. If I was him, I wouldn't be happy with that. That was a terrible fight. Welterweight division as well. I mean, again, do I see Micallef moving up a lot in the welterweight division off of a fight like that? Not really. Um, I don't know. I don't know who they're going to give him next. Garembo, I think, again, cut him. The guy's an absolute waste. Absolute god awful style. Just terrible fighter as well. Yeah. I mean, this guy's whole claim to fame, right, was the fact that The Rock bought him a house. And my God, right, see if you're The Rock, yeah, how much do you think he's regretting ever being associated with this guy? Genuinely, like, what a letdown, man. What a letdown. But yeah, good. It's the only good thing is that Micallef won, I suppose, so he can at least maybe go and do something in the welterweight division. I don't know if he will, to be honest, but yeah. Moving on to the final fight we have here, Dom Marfan and Cody Steele. Cody Steele, which, and I'll be honest, this was a pretty good fight to kick off the overall fight night. This was a really good fight. We also saw Cody Steele come out and get the submission in round one. I think it was sort of like a mix between, he had like a sort of like a leg lock, then he had like a heel hook there, like, or a knee bar as well. Like there was all sorts of stuff going on with Don Marfan's leg, and Cody Steele just took control of it. Um, just really, really impressive ground game from Cody Steele there, and yeah, just impressive win overall. I think it could be really interesting to see what he does moving on in the lightweight division. With ground game like that, that could be genuinely, he could get on a bit of a run, if the UFC give him the right opponents and stuff. So that would be really interesting to see what Cody Steele goes on to do. Don Marfan, I mean, listen, it's not the end of the world, I don't think. I think we'll probably see him again on another card at some point in the year. Um, he didn't even look that bad up until the submission. He looked kind of okay. So yeah, decent fight though. Good win for Cody Steele, and yeah, just a shame that the rest of the prelims were fucking awful. Um, but yeah, that's the recap of UFC Fight Night Perth. Um,
If you
if you
have
have
any
any
other
other suggestions, please do leave them down below. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.